From Fox 5 News, this is Good Day New York.
Rodriguez fighting back. Yankees, a lot of people want to see him banned from baseball for a long time. Not so fast. ARod has a new lawyer, Lanny Davis, used to represent President Clinton. He's joining us in a couple of minutes.
At ARod, his legal team is expected in federal court this morning. It's regarding a lawsuit against Major League Baseball.
All right, let's go to our reporter, Kerry Drew. She's outside federal courthouse with more. Kerry, hi.
Good morning to you, Greg and Rosanna. This is a copy of the lawsuit Alex Rodriguez filed against Major League Baseball last month. And as you mentioned, later on this morning, there will be a conference inside federal court here behind me in Lower Manhattan related to this suit. At this point, we don't know what exactly will be discussed during this conference. We also don't know whether ARod himself will be in attendance. Let's get back to the lawsuit and tell you exactly what it claims. It claims that Major League Baseball and its commissioner went on a, quote, witch hunt in order to force ARod from the sport of baseball for good. ARod's attorneys are now requesting that federal authorities look into whether MLB investigators committed federal crimes during their investigation into ARod's alleged use of performance-enhancing drugs, specifically whether they may have purchased stolen documents during the course of their investigation. Of course, Major League Baseball is denying those allegations. All of this comes as ARod is attempting to appeal a 211-game suspension from Major League Baseball over allegations that he used performance-enhancing drugs. Again, a conference expected to begin here at federal court later on this morning. We don't know yet if ARod himself will be here, but we'll keep you posted on that. For now, we're live in Lower Manhattan this morning. Greg and Rosanna, back to you.
All right, hey. Kerry, we got a little bit more on this federal lawsuit.
Well, we have one of ARod's attorneys with us right now, Lanny Davis, one of the premier attorneys actually in the country. Welcome, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
Is this a case where the best defense is a good offense? You're suing now Major League Baseball. It's kind of, a lot of us think it's the other way around, kind of.
Well, let's look at the big picture. Major League Baseball isn't just another contract dispute business matter between Alex Rodriguez and someone that he does business with. Major League Baseball is a national cultural heritage. For Bud Selig, the commissioner, to allow $125,000 in cash in a satchel in a diner in Fort Lauderdale to be used to purchase stolen documents isn't just the subject of what I think should be a federal investigation. It's boardwalk empire with a trustee for Major League Baseball that's a heritage of this country. Bud Selig needs to explain, why would you do that, even in the pursuit of this case against Mr. Rodriguez? Have you lost your balance? Have you lost your perspective? Federal prosecutors need to ask, did you file tax forms when you use $125,000 in a satchel to pay for stolen documents?
But do you think Major League Baseball feels they have to play dirty because maybe ARod was playing dirty because he took some of those documents, didn't he? Or
so,
there's some allegations about that?
There's nothing wrong with paying for documents. Paying for documents with $125,000 in cash in a satchel, this isn't equivalence. It's like saying Hamas and Israel are equal. This is Major League Baseball. My son is 15 years old and plays baseball. He thinks of Babe Ruth, Lou Gehrig. Selig is the trustee of a heritage. He doesn't do boardwalk empire to get Alex Rodriguez. He's got to rise above that and say, no, there are certain things we're not going to do because we'll be soiling the heritage of this great game.
Let's stay on the big picture for a moment. ARod obviously has tremendous resources. I mean, now he has you, one of the best attorneys in the country.
Thank you.
No, it's true. I mean, you used to represent President Clinton. But why would he, this guy with all these resources, go to some kind of character like that biogenesis operative? I mean, he could have had the best doctors here in New York to cure his or work with him on pain issues and his hip and all that kind of thing. Why was he associating with that guy?
I really don't know the reasons why he associated. I'm sure he regrets it. This is a guy who is under federal grand jury investigation for distributing drugs to teenagers and kids. And Major League Baseball, Mr. Selig, has offered to help him in the effort to get Alex Rodriguez. Just think about that. It's more important to get Rodriguez than to stop someone from distributing drugs to kids. This goes back to Selig. Have you lost your way? You're the trustee of a national heritage. This isn't just another dispute. You owe the American people something higher than favoring getting Rodriguez and not stopping distributing drugs to kids.
What is your role in this whole ARod thing? Because it seems like he's got a whole bunch of attorneys, including Judge Tacopina. Are you actually advising them, or are you actually trying the case?
I'm not trying the case. I am advising them to do exactly what I'm doing. Major League Baseball has a one-sided street street of leaks, of anonymous attacks on Alex Rodriguez. I'm trying to level the playing field, which is what I do, is to tell the media the other side of the story rather than a gang up on one side.
Major League Baseball saying that they are not leaking anything.
Well,
if they're not leaking anything, and you guys say that you're not leaking anything, who's leaking it?
Everyone is leaking, and Major League Baseball cannot with a straight face say they're not leaking, because we have someone from the New York Daily News who goes on television, convicts Rodriguez before even the first day in trial and says he did steroids, and says, I learned that from Major League Baseball. There's no question that they accuse the Rodriguez folks of leaking while they're doing, everybody leaks, so that's really not the issue. The issue, I ask your viewers, Major League Baseball, the New York Yankees, we used to have the Brooklyn Dodgers and the New York Giants when I was a Jersey City kid, is more than about Selig. He owes a heritage, and he's tarnishing it by acting like the king of Boardwalk Empire rather than the commissioner of our national pastime.
Well, let's talk about ARod. ARod is like a lightning rod. You know, he makes a lot of money, didn't perform.
Didn't perform. I think he performed pretty well.
Well, there were issues. He was out for quite a while.
He was badly injured, and the one thing, people can criticize Mr. Rodriguez for a lot of things, but he's a great baseball player, and it always has been one of the great baseball players.
Was he worth the money for the amount of games that he played?
Well, the New York Yankees paid him a lot of money because they thought he was worth the money. When he was injured, they actually didn't treat the injuries as quickly as they should. That's part of this lawsuit. But the answer is Mr. Rodriguez is a great baseball player. And
was he playing on
excuse me, but the Yankees signed on the dotted line as well.
Yeah.
And what Rosanna's raising here is interesting.
Buyer's remorse.
Well, yeah, there's buyer's remorse from the Yankees. Actually, you haven't talked about the Yankees, their role in all of this, really.
Well, I don't know. I only go with facts. It just is curious to me that the Yankees are involved in ambushing a lawyer for Alexander Rodriguez on the Today Show by writing a letter and releasing it on the Today Show, and then not actually following through, because the confidentiality agreement they're insisting on, they actually blame me of violating while they ambush somebody on television. It seems to me they're down and dirty, and that's, you know, everybody says, well, that's what everybody does. And I'm telling you, my 15-year-old son is a serious baseball player. He read the New York Times story about what Bud Selig has approved, not just this $125,000 cash, a lot of other nasty stuff, intimidating and harassing somebody to sign an affidavit that he told the New York Times was a lie. And my son said to me, Dad, why is Major League Baseball acting so dirty no matter what Rodriguez did?
Well, let me ask you, does your son say, did Alex Rodriguez use banned substances?
Yes.
Because that is also a legitimate question. My kid played baseball too. And, you know, it's in the culture. And they want these kids to overperform, not just be a normal baseball player. And there's talk in high school about steroids.
This is a great, maybe, close to this interview. And as a father and as somebody, as you can tell, who loves baseball, that every player that touched these substances needs to teach kids going forward, this is not the way to go. It's bad for your body, it's bad for the sport, and this is not the way to go. Mr. Rodriguez denies doing this, and I take him at his word. But other people have denied doing this, and I still think it's a teaching moment for kids, for all ball players to say, we're not going to do this anymore.
You take him at his word, but let's face it, he lied publicly, consistently on this issue. We all saw it. He lied to Katie Couric, he lied to the American people, and some people think he's lying now.
Well, sometimes people lie because they're embarrassed, and the only way to get past a lie is to confess and ask forgiveness. I've been associated with such people in public life, and the American people are very forgiving when you not only apologize, but when you teach what you've learned from the experience you've been through. So I assume that Mr. Rodriguez is telling the truth, that he did not take these substances after the period that he admitted, 2001 to 2003. At least in America, we don't convict people before they walk into a courtroom. That's what Major League Baseball has done. Bud Selig has declared him guilty, and now he's got to prove his innocence. That's not the American way.
Nobody comes out smelling like a rose in this thing. Would you consider some kind of settlement? I mean, it just seems like it's going in every different kind of direction.
Well, my understanding is that there's no settlement possible when you're innocent. There's a settlement possible when you're guilty and you're asking for a reduced penalty. But I'll tell you one thing, 211 games versus 50 or 61 games for other players. Sounds to me that there's an agenda driving, coming down heavier on Rodriguez, paying hundreds of thousands of dollars in cash, doing things that are on borderline, if not over the line, of legality and morality. There's some reason why they're pounding Rodriguez more than everybody else, and it makes me wonder whether it's about the financial motivation to stop the contract that is in force to pay him. It just makes me wonder.
We have a statement from Major League Baseball. Let's put it on the screen, please. Go ahead and put it up there. Anytime now. We'd like to read it. Here we go. All right. Alex violated our joint drug agreement by his use and possession of numerous forms of prohibited performance-enhancing substances. Period.
Wonderful. If I have anything to say to your audience, this is Major League Baseball convicting someone before trial. Now, in America, we teach our children that's not our Constitution. Bud Selig, from the very beginning, has reversed our Constitution and said you're presumed guilty until you're proven innocent. That is flat out wrong.
Well, all right. You've stated your case quite well.
Thank you.
Lanny Davis, the one and only attorney. Hey, can we talk about yesteryear for a little bit?
Yes.
Did you really go to college with George W. Bush, and did he really haze you when you were trying out for a fraternity?
So what I never talk about is what George Bush and I did at fraternity parties with Vassar girls. And Hillary Rodham, before she changed her name to Clinton, one of the best people and best friends I've ever had, took better notes than anybody I've ever seen at Yale Law School.
Did you try to cheat off her or no?
I certainly like to look at her notes. She had notes that were Roman numeral 1, ABC, and she's one of the best friends and I think one of the best public servants of our time.
Do you think she'll run for office?
I hope
the presidential office.
I hope she will rest, read a good book, and I never answer that question.
Gotcha.
Well, if she does, I think you'll be there. Lanny Davis, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
We got to take a quick break. Ja Rule.